Hey guys. Hi, we are here. I see you guys here. How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday, everybody. It is me, she, her, D Caramel. How y'all doing? Hope you guys hit that like. Yes. All right, let's get started. Everything said in the video is alleged in my opinion. Okay. And it is used for entertainment purposes only. All right, that is our disclaimer, honey. We got to do the disclaimer because baby, we don't never know what's gonna fly out of this mouth. How you guys doing? Happy Sunday. I hope you guys are doing well. Let me get a sip of water right quick, guys. Let me wet my whistle right quick, honey. It's gonna be doing a lot of talking. Yikes. Oh, thank y'all for being here. Thanks for joining. Let's go ahead and get started. Yeah, 8 o'clock. All right, so season 6. What y'all saying? Season 6, episode 8, you guys. SELEC-TIFF-MEMORY. This is the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville. For those of you that did not get to see it, for those of you that are waiting for me to review it, here I am. Let's get into it. All right. So the episode begins with Melody showing her property preservation class. She's also teaching her class the ins and outs of buying and selling property, you guys. And she's also teaching them on how to bid on properties as well. Okay. Melody is actually showing what she actually does outside of the show. This is what she actually does. She has a true property preservation class that she does teach. Okay. So for those of you that follow her, you would know that, and not fake businesses like some of the other people on the damn show. All right, so Kimmy actually comes up upon Melody teaching her class and showing them about the actual property they were at. Kimmy kind of walks up. She greets Melody after telling her class to actually go inside and check out the inside of the house that they were at and actually talking about, okay? So Melody introduces Kimmy to a friend of hers named Keith Everett, who is there, who Melody says who has closed out over 400 plus properties in the last few years. So it sounds like he is very good at what he does. And I was like, ching ching, you closing out that many properties, sir? That means you know what you're doing and you're doing it well. So then Kimmy, as you guys know, Kimmy actually deals in closing properties as well. Okay, so Melody wanted to help Kimmy in terms of her connections in business. Okay, since Kimmy is kind of getting back into working since her cancer diagnosis. Okay, I don't understand. This is something that I don't really understand, and I get it. Melody has a great heart, but all these people on the show have turned out to be snakes, and it just kind of irritates me that Melody keeps extending herself to people who continue to dog her out and mistreat her, and you know what I mean, and not act like they appreciate the things that she do for them. She did it for the Scotts in terms of Schultz, and look how that turned out. She helped Martell tremendously during the marriage, before the marriage, and look how he turned out. It's like everybody that she tries to help is the same way. I don't 100% trust Kimmy, even though she is sick, and I know a lot of people feel sorry for her because of that, but I don't 100% trust her because, one, she is connected and she is a Scott. Two, she kind of straddles the fence a lot in terms of sitting up and talking about things with the other females. So I just don't trust it. So I kind of felt a way about it. When Mel said, "Oh, I'm giving you connections," I'm just like, I don't know about that, Mel. But tomato, tomato. Okay. So then Kimmy tells Melody, let's go ahead. Kimmy is telling Melody that she's not sure if Tiffany and Kiki actually squashed their beef after Melody mentions that she had them over for dinner and conversation. Okay. So Melody says that Kiki and Tiffany got along very well. Okay. And that she actually had a conversation with them when they came to her house. So then Kimmy says that they were both at Martell's event, and says that and then Melody kind of looked like, yeah, okay. And so Kimmy also says that she doesn't feel like the dinner that Mel had with both of Tiffany and Kiki actually fixed the issues. Okay, so Melody, she's kind of looking like, so what's going on with them now? All right, so then Kimmy says that she's not sure why they can't have a whole kumbaya, and they continue to keep getting into it back and forth. Melody says that hopefully they haven't started it back hopefully they haven't started the mess back up again, and that they've moved forward in terms of Kiki and Tiffany, you guys. Okay. So Kimmy goes into confessional and she says that that she's not mentioning anything to about Sheree to Melody being at Martell's upscale magazine event. Says that Melody made it very clear that she does not need to know any updates on what is going on in Martell's world, and that she can totally respect that. And that's great. Melody don't care what Martell is doing because he ain't doing a damn thing. She's so busy with her businesses and what she's doing. She don't care what Martell is doing. She already know Martell was doing the same shit he was doing in the marriage that he's doing right now. Nothing, running around, hoeing. Do we need to keep going? I guess not. All right, so then Kimmy says that she keeps that she's keeping her stress levels down. And that she's picking and choosing what events that she likes to attend. Okay. Kimmy also says that at home with Maurice and Monster that she's experiencing the most stress because of the dynamic of things. And we've seen that. We kind of touched on that in the last episode where Kimmy was kind of going back and forth with Maurice, and then Maurice turned around and called Kiowa and put Kiowa in their situation. It's very stressful because I don't think that Maurice respects Kimmy as his wife. He don't respect her decisions. And then that's kind of trickling down to Monster also not respecting Kimmy, which that's giving her a lot of stress, which she should not be stressed in that particular time, because during that time is when she was really going through her cancer diagnosis. All right. So I feel like Maurice was not stepping up like he needed to, which then put some stress on Kimmy. And she was expressing that to Melody. Melody was kind of shaking her head like, yeah, I hear you, you know, and they're just having girl talk. All right, so Melody asked, was Kimmy having issues with co-parenting? And Kimmy says, yes, co-parenting with Maurice. She says, because we think differently sometimes. She says that she feels that Monster should do more and that Maurice agrees, but doesn't back her up in those decisions. She says that Maurice doesn't enforce things with Monster, and that is her biggest thing at the house, which is causing her so much stress, okay? Then Kimmy goes into confessional again. I don't know why they like to be in confessional so damn much. She says that 100%, she says that she's not 100% back to normal, and that she's not physically better, but she's stressed a lot at home. So she kind of put emphasis on that. She is stressed at home. We already saw how Maurice is very immature, which is so crazy to me because that energy that he has, that he had towards Kimmy's son Jalen, whenever Jalen was staying in the house with them, I want to say season 3 or 4, he was very, very hard on Jalen, so much so to the point to where Jalen actually moved out. Okay, he was telling Jalen, you can't stay here, you can't work, you need to find out what you want to do, you need to have a job. He stayed on him for every little thing, and I don't see him having that same energy for his own son Monster, who is also not being responsible and doing what he needs to do. I just don't see that. I don't understand why he was so militant with Jalen, so much so till he ran him up out of Kimmy's house, because that's Kimmy's house. That's Kimmy's son. So he was very militant and always staying on Jalen, to where Jalen felt like he needed to move out to have some peace, to kind of get away from Maurice, because he was doing team too much. But now that his own son had moved into Kimmy and his house, he don't have that energy. He's allowing Monster to run over Kimmy. He's doing whatever he wants to do, and it's just not sitting well with Kimmy. And she's kind of getting to the point to where she's talking about it, to where it's bothering her. Okay, so Kimmy goes on to Melody goes on to say that she's proud of Kimmy and that she looks bomb, telling her she looks good. She's trying to encourage her because Kimmy kind of seems like she's a little stressed out, telling Melody about the issues that she's having at home. All right. So then Kimmy goes on to tell Melody to hug her, to embrace her, because of course she needs that. You could tell she's in a place where she really have not been getting that at home because of the stress and her going back and forth with Maurice in this situation with Monster. So she felt like she needed some type of an embrace from Melody to kind of make her feel important or needed and or wanted, because we all know Maurice is totally zoned out in his own immature world. Okay. Yes. All right, so next scene, Tiffany goes to a spot called the Lux Brew, which is a coffee shop, okay? And she invited Stormy to come along. And of course, Tiffany gets there first. And then a few minutes, Stormy, she comes in with these damn green pants on, honey, looking I don't know where the hell she was coming from. Tiffany says that she's confused whenever she sits down with Stormy. She says that she's confused about what happened at Martell's event with Kimmy and why Stormy jumped in being in the midst of things, which she did. We already saw she was going back and forth. She said, oh, let me go get this person. Let's talk about this. This person needs to be here. So she was instigating the situation, and Tiffany wanted to get to the bottom of why, because she thought that the two of them were in a good space. But it's seeming like the way Stormy kind of jumped into it and was kind of trying to pit the two of the girls against each other, it seemed like she may have had an issue with Tiffany. So Tiffany wanted to get to the bottom of it. All right. So then Stormy says, after joining Tiffany at the coffee shop where she's been invited, Tiffany says to Stormy, she says, so did you have a good night? Talking about the actual event. Stormy says, yes, I did. All right, so let's move on. Tiffany then recalls the event. She recalls the event, you know, where they were at with Martell. And so she says that everything was fun. Then Kiki came over, and then she kind of frowns up. So then Stormy asked, she said, why do you look like that? Okay. Mentioning Kiki. Why you looking like that when you mention Kiki? Because y'all know that's how she talk. Okay. So then Tiffany said, because I feel like I'm pregnant and I have no time in my life to be stressed out. She said that Kiki and I had lunch at Mel's house. She said we got to a point where we were good or whatever. She said, or rather Gucci, as you would say, in your own words, Stormy. So then Tiffany says also, she says that things were good till Stormy brought things up. Okay. So Stormy says, I feel like things need to be brought up to the table. Okay. So Tiffany says, why do we need to bring it up to the table? You know, why do we need to bring that up? So Stormy says, because everything wasn't on the table. Everything needed to be brought up on the table. That's not her place to do that, because I felt like I said, she was instigating. She wanted to see a rift between the two of them because she didn't have nothing else to do. That was not her fight. She didn't have a dog in that fight. The dog was over there at the warehouse that she should have been worried about, but she was over there in their business, worried about what was going on between them, steady causing problems. Okay. It was a hot damn mess, y'all. So Stormy goes on to says that you didn't even know about the text. Okay. So you didn't even know about the text that was brought up. And Tiffany says, no, I didn't know. Okay. So then Stormy goes on to say, well, last night, I just wanted you to clear it up. Okay. Which of course, like I just said, she was instigating. So then Stormy then goes into confessional, and she says that I feel that we need to get things out, whether we all curse or whatever. She says that we can move on. She says, but Tiffany and Kiki weren't putting it all on the table, and it's just like saving it for another day. Okay, when they're not talking about it, she feels like they're just saving the issue for another day, but that's their issue. Why are you so invested in what they have going on when you have so much going on that you need to be worried about, Stormy? It's like she's trying to take on the role as being bone collector this season to avoid talking about all the inconsistencies in her life, her marriage, her business. She don't want to talk about that, but she want to be the bone collector in everybody else's business to avoid talking about her own. That's how I feel this season. All right. So Stormy says that when people see, she says that when I see two people do what y'all are doing, meaning Kiki and Tiffany, she says that y'all going to be best of friends one day. Okay. Kind of how like she and Destiny were, how they were going back and forth and almost came to blows. And then she bought her this whole Gucci bag. And then all of a sudden they're Gucci. And then they were supposed to be like best friends after that. So now she's trying to say that the fact that they were going back and forth, that now is looking like that further down the line that they just going to wind up being good friends. All right. So Tiffany is kind of looking at her like, bitch, no, we ain't going to be no good friends. Okay. She's really not feeling Kiki like that. She was kind of looking like, yeah, no. So then Stormy says, yeah, she says that we did a Rocky session. And that says that she was really into the session. She was really into the session, talking about Kiki. So then Tiffany says, you had a one-on-one session with her? She said, oh, okay, good. So then Stormy says, yeah, says she, meaning Kiki, has good energy. She says, so don't completely write her off yet, because she does have real good energy. Okay. So Tiffany kind of being reluctant says, oh, okay. She says, maybe I'll take you up on that. She says, maybe I'll take you up on that suggestion. She says that I had one-on-one time with Sheree and it was positive. So I was just like, Tiffany, I think you might have been drunk. I know you're pregnant, but I think that moment was a little drunken moment when you sat down with Sheree, because baby, you was on 10, but I was all the way here for it. But then Stormy said, oh, okay, so how'd that go? You know, so Tiffany says, really, she said it went really good. She says, and I'm surprised that she hasn't been around Mel. She says that she's been around their children. She says, and I guess it's best for the kids. Okay. So she couldn't wait to put that information out there with somebody else to sit down and be further messy after she's already stirred up enough mess with Sheree. So she could not wait to sit down with Stormy, who we all know is going to run and tell everybody this information after Tiffany gets done telling her everything. All right, so Stormy says that you done took on a lot, Tiffany. Says that I wouldn't even let that even worry me. Okay. So Tiffany says, so if you and Courtney were divorced, says that you wouldn't want to meet the woman being around Chance, which is her son, which is Stormy's son. So Stormy says, I don't know. It depends on if she's serious or not. She says, if she ain't the one, then he wouldn't allow her around him anyway. Okay. So then Tiffany says, is Sheree the one? She's asking Stormy, is Sheree the one? So Stormy says, because she's sitting over there eating like she hadn't ate all damn day. I'm talking about raking that food in her snout over there. I was like, damn, girl, the camera is like right here. And she is literally like raking it in. Her and Tisha, they don't give a hot damn about no cameras. They was eating like it was the Last Supper. Okay. So Stormy replies and says that she could be. So Tiffany says, you're right. She says, could be, but her and Mel need to be in, or rather on the same page. So then Stormy says that you talk to Mel. She said you talk to Mel. She says, do Mel want to meet Sheree? So Tiffany says, I don't talk to Mel about Sheree. So then Stormy says, well, why are you talking about Sheree? About Mel. Okay. Trying to be messy. So then Tiffany says, I want to see what she thought about dating someone who is a known cheater and being a blended family. I said, here we go. So then Stormy says, that's a lot to ask someone that you don't know. All right. So then Tiffany says, not really. She says that I want to know. She says, I want to know Sheree. She says, and that Sheree mentions Mel, and Little Tank went to Sheree's book signing like Mel was supposed to be like her fan or something. So Tiffany is further being messy and kind of throwing these little nuggets out there to kind of get Stormy in on the mess as well. All right. So, of course, Melody clears up that situation, you guys, to say that she was not no fan or no overzealous fan when it came to the situation with Sheree, that she was actually there at a paid event, a paid speaking event, and Sheree just so happened to be there as well, and she saw her and they took a picture together. So it's not like she followed her around the room and was acting like an overzealous fan. She just asked her, hey, how you doing? Let's take a picture together. Mel was there on a paid speaking engagement, but Sheree tried to make it seem like that Melody was just this huge fan of her because, you know, she's Sheree, which, who are you, girl? You ain't nobody. We just see you on the show. You don't have no storyline. And now you in a fake ass relationship with her ex-husband who she don't give a damn about. So you really not doing nothing out here, Sheree, for nobody to even be calling you a fan. Fan your ass somewhere and sit down. Okay. I mean, really. All right. So then Stormy says, so you're saying that Mel was a fan of Sheree? So Tiffany was like, So then Tiffany also goes on to say, how are you and Mel after the tea party? Okay. She's further getting into the mess. So Stormy says, I haven't talked to Mel. She says that we don't talk like that. She says that Nell hasn't been around us. So it lets me know that she's been talking to Mel. Okay. So, of course, production kind of rolls tape back to the tea party when Nell was saying that there's some type of weird energy between Stormy and Melody and that she feels that the two of them need to talk. Okay. So then Tiffany goes on to say, did you feel heard? Meaning like at the tea party. So Stormy says, no. She says, I feel like it was a manipulated environment and it was what it was. She says that my mama said, my mama said everything that she wanted to say. She said, so I'm glad that one of us got a chance to talk. Her ass won't even invited, so I don't even understand why she was talking. Stormy's mom. Stormy's mom was not invited, and Melody made that very clear when she says that she didn't even know that Stormy's mom was coming because she was not invited. So it was kind of weird that she did most of the talking and starting the mess. So Tiffany goes on to say, since you're encouraging one-on-one time with Kiki, she says, I want you to do the same with Mel. Okay. Like, don't be telling me to go over here and fix things with Kiki, and you still got this rip between you and Mel. Y'all need to fix y'all issues while you up here trying to be Dr. Phil in my issue. All right. So then Tiffany also mentions her baby shower is coming up, which will be that upcoming Saturday, and says that Stormy will see Mel there. And that they should talk. She said, of course, she said that Melody accepted the invite and will be there. So Stormy also says, oh, okay, well, I'll be there too. So then it goes into the next scene, okay? Next scene is Tisha and Kiki, and they're riding in the white BMW that is said to be Tisha's son's MJ's Sweet 16 birthday gift, which I think that car has been rented, to my knowledge. All right. So, and then they're riding and they're talking, they're kind of reminiscing on the first apartment they had back in the day, just girl talk. When Tisha says that we had a lot of good time, not good times. We had a lot of good time, okay, at A&M back in the day, okay. So then Tisha they actually show Tisha in a confessional where she says that Kiki and I are on our way to A&M University, to the Hill to watch a basketball game. She says, and I'm happy that we rode together because I wanted to catch up with her about Martell's magazine party. Okay. So Tisha also says that she's glad that they're hanging out because it's how it used to be between she and Kiki. Tisha asks Kiki, she says, how'd you enjoy yourself last night at the Upscale magazine party? Okay. Kiki says, well, let me start with your ass first. She says, I didn't tell you to share the text message that I sent you. Okay, so that's what she says to Tisha. So the Tisha says, right? She says, but you didn't tell me, but I was actually defending you. She says that I was saying that she's upset and I'm gonna hold that, and I'm not gonna hold that information. Okay. Of course, she was being messy per usual. Y'all don't make me laugh. Every time I glance up, I see y'all in there when I'm talking like Tisha. All right. So Tisha was, of course, trying to be messy whenever she released that text message. So then Kiki says that her being pregnant, that I do have a sense of sympathy. She says, but I'm not going to call her on. She says, but I'm not going to call her on. But I'm going to call her on her BS and let her look stupid as she looks. She says, but she just kept on. All right. Talking about Tiffany. So then Kiki also says that Stormy came over and mentioned the dinner between Tiffany and Kiki. Then the text message came up. She says, I then had to confront it. All right. So I guess Stormy kind of opened that door, which didn't open the door for Kiki to further be messy. All right. So then Kiki goes to confessional and says that although stuff is brought to me, it's really hard not to engage. She says, when I'm asked about the mess, she says, what am I supposed to do? Plead the fifth? She says, no, I'm going to be honest and tell the truth. She says, always expect that from me. That's what Kiki had to say in her confessional. I was just like, why your ass sounding like a whole commercial in here, Kiki? You didn't have to do a confessional to say that. Like, that was kind of like blah. But anyway, so Tisha says that Stormy also told me some other things that Tiffany told her about me too, about my business as well, and how it's set up, and that Marceau runs the business, and that Tisha is just the face. Okay. I'm like, well, your name ain't on the business, Tisha. And I've already showed that here on my channel. Your name is nowhere on show. So Tiffany was not lying. Yes, granted, she is messy as hell and all up in the business, but she was telling the truth. I mean, damn. So then Tisha says, you don't know how my company is structured, so don't speak on that, all right? She said that Tiffany also said that you're not with Marceau 24/7 and that you don't know what he's doing, okay? And that she also mentions that me and Marceau not knowing everything about our time frame, okay? Meaning that he be out cheating. All right. She says, I mean, nobody knows what their husband is doing 24/7. She says that, I mean, you know, that I don't know what I don't know what he do 24/7, and he don't even know where I am right now. Okay. And I'm just like I said before, he don't care where you are right now because he where he want to be right now. Okay. Tisha says that I trust him. And Kiki's just sitting over there co-signing like, yeah, right. So then Tisha goes on to say that why is Tiffany speaking on my marriage or me and my relationship again? She says that we've had this conversation in Vegas. Like, just stop it. Stay out of my business. She says that I didn't want to say it to her last night because she's pregnant and I didn't want to download that much on her in that setting. She says, but you have a lot that can be said about you, meaning Tiffany. Thank you so much for the super chat, ABK. Okay. So, of course, Tisha, like I said, is deflecting, knowing that she and Marceau have some marital issues. Like, it's no secret that they have stuff going on between the two of them behind closed doors, to where now it's starting to seep out to where everybody is knowing what's going on between them, to the point to where people are talking about it. So then Tisha says that I was going to Huntsville. She says, I was going around Huntsville. It was going around Huntsville that her and someone had some dealings going on, talking about Tiffany. Now she making shit up about Tiffany because Tiffany done brought up some stuff about her marriage. So then Kiki says that she's gasping. She says, oh no. She says, what? She says, so you mean to tell me that it's rumor that Tiffany has cheated or is cheating on her husband? So then Tisha says, well, I don't know. So now you just said that it's going around that you know some stuff about her, but then you turn around and say, oh, I don't know. So now you're trying to make up some stuff and put it out there about Tiffany because Tiffany put you on blast about some shit that everybody already know, that Marceau, honey, is out there in them scurries. You know he out there too. Okay, you already said he don't never be home. So where the hell he at? He leaves early in the morning and he don't come home until dark. So where is he? He ain't working because y'all got all these damn bills. Y'all getting sued every other day. Y'all got back taxes that ain't paid. So what the hell going on? Ain't no work being done is what it sounds like. So you cannot be mad at Tiffany for telling the truth. Granted, it's not her business. But once again, she is telling the damn truth. So Tisha goes on to say that she don't know what secrets or whatever is going on about Tiffany. So then Tisha says, I don't want to talk about you or your marriage. She says, but I'm not going to let people keep coming for me and my marriage and my relationship. She says, if you don't want me talking about your personal business like that, then stop saying stuff about me and mine. She's talking about Tiffany, okay, whenever she brought up her marriage. So then Tisha, of course, goes into confessional because she's not done venting. All right. She says that Tiffany shouldn't be talking about my marriage. Okay. If she keeps pushing me, I'm going to talk about what I know about hers. Well, you just said you didn't know anything about her. Now, all of a sudden, you know so much while you in confessional. So what you going to do? Sit up there and make up stuff like you tried to do with Melody when Melody tried to tell you to go down to the bar and see what your husband was doing down there because he's all up in there skinning and grinning, all up in them biatches face down there at the bar, honey, where all the Honda cars be, while your ass is sitting at home with the kids, not knowing what the hell your husband is doing. So now you want to be out here trying to put Tiffany on blast because she putting you on blast. She did the same thing with Melody when Melody told her ass to go to the bar. So now you want to go, oh, but Martell that went out here and bought a BMW and Martell this, and this. So you sat on them secrets until it was convenient for you to pull them out whenever you got embarrassed that your own marriage was thrown under the bus. Go off, sis. Okay, you're going to make up a rumor to deflect the issues in your own marriage. So then Tisha goes on to say that I've been playing nice, okay? She said that y'all about to see or rather, y'all about to start seeing a different side of Tisha, okay? I don't think it's any more sides. Every side that I've seen has been thick-tongued, lying, deflecting, maybe criminalistic, because you do have some, you know, some criminal stuff in your background. It ain't many more sides that we can see to you, Tisha, okay? And the fact that you like to be wearing makeup that's a little bit too lighter than you because you don't love the skin that you're in. But we'll continue, all right? So Kiki goes on to agree and further co-sign to say, yeah, right. Okay. Kiki wasn't saying much about the infidelity part when Tisha was talking about the infidelity stuff that Tiffany was talking about. She wasn't saying too much. She was just kind of sitting there like, Because y'all remember at the reunion, she was already putting some stuff out there about Marceau and them pictures, the naked pictures in the phone. So Kiki kind of helped put some stuff out there about Marceau. So when Tisha goes into this whole tirade of talking about Tiffany, talking about her marriage and the infidelities, Kiki won't talking too much, okay? But she did kind of co-sign the fact that Tiffany needed to be quiet and stop talking about things in terms of Tisha's marriage. Did y'all notice that? Did y'all catch that? She won't too much agreeing on anything else as it was related to that. All right, so let's move on to the next scene. They could have left this scene out. Louis and Tiffany, they're at the doctor. They're waiting to get the sonogram. They're discussing the baby. Louis kind of picks the name out. Of course, the baby's name is Ace, which we all know the child's name is Ace. Tiffany, they're saying that Tiffany took her IUD out, and the doctor was telling her that it's going to take them about 12 months to get pregnant. They're saying within 7 days, she found out that she was pregnant after taking out her IUD. And that's pretty much it. They just kind of talked about it and talked about the baby and, you know, slowing down. They discussed how they're going to handle things after the baby gets here. Tiffany pretty much says that she has everything under control. Louis is saying that he's not sure if the businesses are going to be able to run smooth having a new baby there, which, hey, y'all gonna have to figure it out now because the baby is here. All right. And Louis was pretty much saying to Tiffany that baby Ace is going to slow her down some because Tiffany likes to be on the go. All right. And he also tells her to try to slow down and be stress-free so that they can have a healthy baby. Next scene. Like I said, they could have left that out. Next scene is Maurice and Kimmy at home. Maurice is saying, what do you think about Martell's event? Says, do you like Sheree? Okay. So Kimmy was like, yeah, I mean, what's not to like? She's real quiet. Maybe it's just her, meaning Sheree. Okay. So then Maurice says that it's funny how you see a person on TV and have a perception of them, and they're actually another way. Okay, meaning Sheree. And Kimmy agrees by saying, yeah. So then Maurice says that Martell was still doting, though. Who says doting? So then Kimmy says, you think so? Says that I feel like Martell is a gentleman. I was just like, lies. Where the hell that come from? Like, Kimmy, you must have been drinking, girl. So actually, after that part, Monster, he comes in. Maurice is sitting at the bar talking to Kimmy. Kimmy's preparing dinner. Look like she's doing some hamburgers or something like that. She's cutting up onions and potatoes. So Monster comes in and sits down at the bar beside Maurice. Then Maurice and Kimmy go into confessional. And they say that things seem to be going good with Monster. Okay. And then of course, they're saying that things are always good. Hold on. Okay, so Kimmy says, Maurice says to Kimmy, said that things seem to be going good with you, Monster. Okay, so he's kind of engaging in conversation with Monster. So he says that things are always good with me. And then he says that and then Kimmy says that he's a great kid. Okay. Kimmy's saying that things are always good with Monster, that he's a great kid, that she just needs him to listen more. Okay. So Maurice then says, says that that's not his strong suit in terms of listening. Okay. And I'm like, well, that's where you come in because you stayed on Kimmy's son. But now that your son ain't listening, you ain't got that much heat for him like you did Kimmy's son. I'm gonna need you to still have that same militant attitude towards your own son who don't listen and or do chores as he's supposed to. All right, so Kimmy, like I said, while she's preparing dinner, Monster and Maurice, like I said, they're sitting there and they're talking. Maurice put Monster, like I said, in boot camp. They decided to put him in boot camp to try to help him learn some type of discipline because I guess Maurice can't be a good dad and do it. So then Kimmy and Maurice, they discuss boot camp with Monster, and says that he is and that he has to get up at 5 o'clock after they asked him, is it working? So his response was, well, I got to get up at 5 o'clock a.m. That's the only thing that he had to say about the boot camp. All right. So whenever Kimmy and Maurice mentioned that he was in boot camp. So then Maurice says, so that's it? That's all you learning about boot camp? That you just got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning? Okay. So then Maurice explains that Monster has a daily routine to Kimmy. All right. So then Maurice asked Monster, his goals in terms of his schoolwork. So then Monster replies in terms of saying that he's trying to at least get a GPA of 3.0. All right. So then Maurice says that what are the other goals that you have? Asking Monster. So then Monster says that I don't remember all of them. Says that I remember most. And then he starts naming some things. And then he goes in to say that he wants to go to Ohio State College, which is his actual goal. All right. So then Kimmy says, well, I hear football and I hear the GPA, but I didn't hear anything about no chores. Like, where the chores fall in there? Okay. So then Monster said, that's a given. Like, I have to do chores. So then Kimmy says, oh, okay, that's great. Like, she's agreeing that he's agreeing that he is supposed to do chores because that's not something that he had been doing. All right. So she's proud to hear that he's talking about chores. So then Maurice says that, don't you have a list, Monster, that you put together? Says, where's your list? Go get your list. She says that I believe chores are on the list. That's what Maurice is telling him. All right. So then Kimmy says, are there consequences on the list as well? I was just like, Lord. So then Maurice said that we didn't put a list for consequences. Says that we put a list for goals that we want him to reach in terms of positivity as well. So then Monster, he returns with the list. He sits back down in his seat at the bar. So then Kimmy says, find me what number the chores actually fall under. Okay. And that's all. Like, she don't want to hear the other shit that's on the list. She want to see where the chores fall on this list that Monster and Maurice put together. All right. So he and Maurice, they kind of look at the list. And Kimmy asked again, okay, what number does the chores fall on? Like, you looking at the list too long. Tell me what number does the chores fall under? So then Monster says, yeah, none. They're not on here. Chores is not on the list. Okay. So then Kimmy just kind of side eyes like, okay, they should be on there. So Kimmy says, so y'all have 20 items on this list. And out of this list, chores don't fall in none of the 20. So Maurice says, yeah, that's tough. That's tough. Okay. Says that I thought that we put it on there. That's what Maurice said. You didn't think that you put it on there, Maurice. Now, I know you slow, but you ain't that damn slow. All right. He says that it's not a priority for your says it's not a priority for you or your daddy. That's what Kimmy says. That's not a priority for you or your daddy. Talking about the chores on the list. All right. So then Kimmy says to Monster, says that your dad don't think that I give harsh enough consequences. Okay. So then Monster says, I feel you give me harder consequences than him, meaning Maurice. All right. So then Maurice says, if consequences are tougher, then why not act faster when it comes to Kimmy? Okay. So then Monster says, it's not like I say I'm not listening to Kimmy. I just get caught up in doing stuff and then I forget to do what she's asking me to do. Okay. So then Kimmy says, I 100% believe that. She says, but we got to stay focused, Monster. Okay. So then Maurice says, looks like we need a boot camp for chores. He tried to laugh it off and make a joke. And I was just like, see, this is the problem. This is why your son is not doing what he needs to do, because you always like to try to throw in a joke and try to be Mr. Funny Man when you need to be putting your foot down and having some type of authority over your son that you asked to come and stay with you, that you're supposed to be having responsibility of, that you've now put that responsibility on Kimmy, who is dealing with a situation of her health when she's already telling you she's stressed out and this is a lot. Your son is 16. It's simple. You tell him what he needs to do. If he doesn't do it, as his father, put him on punishment or do whatever you feel you need to do in terms of consequences and discipline. Kimmy should not have more to say to your son than you, Maurice. You don't want to step up and take on the responsibility, but you want your son to come and stay with you because you don't want to pay his mother child support. That's what it boils down to. You didn't want to give Kaya with child support for this son. So you want him to come and stay with you, but you don't want to take on the responsibility of being his father 100%. You're trying to push it off on Kimmy because you don't want to be the disciplinary. You trying to be friends with your son versus being the father. So then you put the disciplinary part on Kimmy, which makes her look like the bad person when that should fall on you. Why does she have more to say to Monster versus you when you wanted him to come and stay there in her house? Period. She should not be doing that with him. It's disrespectful as hell. You don't want to pay his mother, so you keep asking, well, I need my son to come stay here because he needs a father figure in his life. So then when he get in your house, where's the figure? Where's the father figure coming in? When do you step up and be this father figure that you told his mother that you were going to be whenever he comes to stay in your house? You have yet to do that yet, Maurice, because you're trying to be friends with Monster versus being the parent. And now it's trickling over to the fact that he's disrespecting Kimmy, and she's sick of that shit. It's bad enough she got to deal with Maurice because he's immature. So now she's got two children in the house, Maurice and damn Monster. And it's getting to her to the point where she's talking to other people about it. It's starting to bother her. Maurice is immature as hell. And I don't know why Kimmy chose him. I don't know why she chose him, but he's immature. He had nothing to offer her. And the fact that Kimmy felt like her biological clock was ticking, she had to run out here and get somebody who had nothing. Maurice was staying on somebody's couch, cutting hair. And not to diminish him as a man, but he didn't have his shit together when she met him, and you jumped the gun by being with him. And now you're stuck in a situation where you're not happy. You are not happy, Kimmy, being with Maurice, with him not having nothing to offer you. And now he done brought his son in the situation and in the equation, which further added on to the mess that you were dealing with him. You and him were already having marital issues. So now you got to deal with his son who is not listening, which further puts you in a different headspace to where you stressed out when you should not be when you're dealing with cancer, dear. Maybe Monster needs to move back home with his mother, and you and Maurice focus on your marriage, because that's too much to be adding to the plate. Period. It's too much. The fact that he's a Scot and they have that Scot mentality in terms of how they treat their wives and how they treat their women, it's a mess. They don't respect women, period. And Maurice continues to show that in every single episode because he don't respect Kimmy. And his son is picking up on that, and he feels he don't have to respect her either. And when they're trying to have important conversations, he make jokes about it, which then the son is sitting there looking like, daddy's disrespecting her. So now I feel like I can do it. That's what it is. Children pick up on stuff like that. He see that he don't respect Kimmy. That's why he don't respect her. Because it starts with you, Maurice, as the husband. It starts with Maurice. Let's move on. Kimmy says to Monster, says that your dad don't think that I give harsh enough consequences. Monster says that I feel you give me harder consequences than him, meaning Maurice. Maurice says if consequences are tougher with her, then why not act faster with her? So then Monster goes on to say that it's not like I say that I'm not listening to Kimmy. I just get caught up in doing stuff and then I forget. Kimmy says that I believe 100% that we got to stay focused, that you have to stay focused, Monster. Then Maurice makes a joke and says it looks like we need a boot camp for chores. Kimmy then looks like Kimmy's upset, and she says it looks like we need to revisit this top 20 list. Okay. She's pissed about it. That, and then the fact that he's making a joke about that, Maurice is making a joke about it, she don't think it's funny. So then Monster, he's kind of sitting there looking like, okay, whatever. Like he don't really care. He don't really care. He's kind of looking like, yeah, okay, whatever. Let's wrap this up because I got some other stuff that I need to do. Like he don't really care. All right. So then Maurice and Kimmy, they continue discussing Monster after they actually excuse Monster from sitting up there at the bar with them. All right. They also discussed the list of priorities in terms of Monster. Okay. So then Maurice says that chores are important if Monster is going to live here. All right. He says, but if it's important to Kimmy, then it goes on the list. Okay. So then they go into confessional where Kimmy says that she feels like Maurice takes her for granted and focuses on his goals with Monster and dismisses her. So that's what I'm saying. She feels like she don't feel important and that she's not being heard. And Maurice is not taking it seriously. So then Maurice says that he tries to make, of course, Maurice tries to make a joke saying that he's not dismissing Kimmy, that he's just focused on him. Okay. So then Kimmy kind of looks at him like, really, Maurice? All right. And she's feeling really annoyed at this point that she's trying to have a important conversation with him and he's still trying to make a joke. So let's move on to the next scene. Next scene is Martell, Marceau. They're at Black. They're supposed to be studying for this builder's license test, okay, at Black. And they're actually laughing and they're actually talking about everything else except this damn test. They're not studying. Martell is not studying. They not even focused, okay? And it's been brought to my attention that Martell has failed the builder's license test again, you guys. This is what, like 6-7 times now that he's failed it. Mind you, this is an open book test, okay? So he has failed the builder's license test again. I already knew it was gonna happen. I already knew it was gonna happen because he ain't been studying. You focused on everything else besides studying. Like, damn. And then too, it's an open book test. The answers are right there. So how is it that you continue to fail an open book test? This is what, like 6-7 times now? It's crazy to me. I don't understand it. So the Martell goes into his confessional. He says that Marceau ain't really been helping me study for the test. It says, at this point, I'm going to have to get someone else to help me. I don't understand why you need all this help. Again, it's an open book test. It's simple. Sit there and read the shit, comprehend it, look for the answer when the questions come up. That's what you do in an open book test. Says that Marceau ain't losing no weight either. Says that after their agreement for Marceau to help him pass the builder's license test, in exchange for Marceau, in exchange for him helping Marceau lose weight at the gym. Okay, it's so crazy, y'all. I said, oh my god. So from my understanding, from my knowledge, Martell is working under. Do y'all remember the guy on the show? Not to get off topic too much. Do y'all remember the guy where Martell was actually working under his builder's license when he kept telling Martell that he needs to get his own license? You guys, what season was that? I want to say season 4, where season 4 or 5, when Martell was working under the guy's license. When Melody rolled up, Melody called him and said, "Hey, I need to have a conversation with you, Fred." Thank you guys for putting it in there. So he's working under Fred's license again, you guys, because he failed the builder's license test again. So yeah, he is working under Fred's license again. I think I got a picture. Y'all know I like to have receipts. Martell is working under Fred's builder's license again because he can't pass his own damn test. I'm just like, bro, listen. Let me show y'all a picture. Because I have it, child. Jesus. This is Martell with Fred. That's Fred standing there holding the whatever that is. And of course, that's Chris Fletcher there. They're at some type of land where Martell is going to be helping Fred do some type of job under Fred's license because Martell cannot pass the damn test, y'all. So there you go. Martell, you a lost cause, sir. You slow. I'm sorry. You so focused on everything else besides this damn test. You could have been past it. 5-6 damn tests to go, but you're not focused, sir. Okay, your mind is on hoeing and out here with fake ass storylines and worried about what somebody else got to say versus focusing on your business so that you can create a legacy. But go off, sir. Let's move on and chasing ass and everything else. Ugh. All right, so Tiffany walks in while Marceau and Martell are sitting laughing and talking when they're supposed to be studying. All right, Tiffany walks in. Martell and Marceau greet her, and they said that they actually trying to flatter her, saying that, are you still pregnant? That's what Marceau is saying. Are you still pregnant? Says, I can't tell that you're still pregnant in that black dress. They're trying to tell her that she looks good. This is the build up before they actually start digging in her ass about what was said between she and Sheree. Okay, so they're trying to not lay it on too thick. And the reason for Tiffany actually coming there in the beginning is because she was supposed to be talking about a business venture between she and Martell somewhere in Selma, Alabama, that they were supposed to be working on. But Martell actually lured her there, making her think they were coming there to talk about business, but they were really coming there to talk about the situation and or conversation between she and Sheree. He didn't even mention anything about the business situation between Tiffany and Martell going to Selma to do any type of work together that they were supposed to be doing. They actually went into the whole conversation, like I said, with Sheree. Let's continue. So the Martell says to Tiffany, says that Tiffany and him were supposed to, like I said, discuss a project in Selma, but after the conversation with Sheree, that he has some issues that he wants to get to the bottom of. That's what Martell was saying. Okay. So you didn't even talk about business. You lured her there for something else completely different. So Martell says to Tiffany, says, how y'all been? Says you and the baby, talking about her and the baby. Okay. Not that he cares. He don't care about that damn baby. He want to get to what he really want to get to. So then Tiffany says, it's weird, you know. It's kind of weird being pregnant. The baby's growing, blah, blah, blah. So then Martell says, oh, I'm sorry, but it's a baby in there, trying to be funny. So then Martell also goes on to say, how did y'all like the magazine event? Okay. They're just having small talk to build up to, like I said, the conversation. Martell, he's kind of getting to the real reason of why Tiffany came. So then Marceau says that he liked the event. He says because Martell doesn't get to get celebrated. And I'm thinking, well, what would he get celebrated for? Because he ain't doing shit. Martell ain't doing nothing to be celebrated. Who gets celebrated for out here hoeing? Who gets celebrated for out here making outside babies? I don't know anybody for getting celebrated for that. They get celebrated for something like that. I don't know. What would he get celebrated for when he ain't doing nothing? Damn. All right, so Tiffany says that people were really excited about the magazine reveal, okay? So they're just having conversation. Martell says, oh, yeah, you know, it was pretty cool. So then Tiffany asks Martell, says, what was your highlight, okay? So then Martell says the highlight didn't happen at the event. It happened after the event. So they're getting into the conversation with Sheree, all right? So then Tiffany looked kind of surprised, like, what is he talking about? Okay. When he says that the highlight wasn't at the event, it was after. So then Marceau kind of looks like he's oblivious to what's going on when he already has an idea. So then Martell says that Sheree, okay, says that Sheree showed me, hold on, says that Sheree shared with me the conversation that y'all had at the event, okay, says that that you grilled her. And why'd you grill her like that? Okay. So Tiffany says that says you're supposed to be nosy. You know, she kind of shook it off and said, you're supposed to be nosy. So then Martell says that he's extremely surprised. It says that you went and grilled her way too much. Okay. So then Tiffany says that, do you realize how bad I got grilled coming into this group? Says that, do you really understand? So I guess she was trying to give Sheree some of what she got in terms of coming into the group. So the Marceau says, can you guys tell me? He says, I want to know, like, what y'all talking about? All right. He wants to know about the conversation. And I'm just like, why are you getting in the middle of it? Because this has nothing to do with you. This would have been a great time for him to get up and kind of walk away and go do something else and allow the two of them to have a conversation. So now you sticking your nose in something and getting in something that has nothing to do with you. So then Tiffany says that, Tiffany explains what she asked Sheree. Says that Tiffany says that how does it feel dating a cheater? Okay. So then Marceau looks wide-eyed at Martell like, what? Like she asked that? So then Martell says, damn. Says, I'm not a cheater. Okay. Says, I'm not a cheater. He says it twice. And he says, are you a cheater? So he starts stuttering. Gonna ask Tiffany, or is she a cheater? All right. So then Marceau says, okay, simmer down. Okay. So then Martell says that I really got to ask this. It says, are you a cheater? Asking Tiffany. So Tiffany responds, no. So then Martell says that I'm not a cheater either. Okay. He says, I cheated. There's a difference. So then Marceau says that you really asked that? Says, how does it feel dating a cheater? You really asked that, Tiffany? So then Tiffany says, I wanted to know. Says, how does it feel? So then Martell says, as educated as you are, says that she actually asked that. All right. So then Marceau says, you asked it like that, Tiffany? So then Tiffany goes into confessional and she says that I'm so annoyed that Martell decided to bring this conversation of Sheree up in this meeting. It says that Sheree is a grown woman and that she should have come to me. Says that Martell chose right now, okay, with Marceau to talk about this situation. Says that that's not how I do business, okay? So she's under the impression that she's coming there to talk about the Selma thing, and Martell switches it up to talk about Sheree's conversation with Tiffany. So Marceau goes on to say, it says, I'm assuming that you're trying to get in somebody's business or fish for information. He says that if I ask someone about cooking eggs, I want to know about eggs. Says if I ask somebody about dating a cheater, then I want to know about dating a cheater. And I'm just like, Why is he always speaking in circles and in riddles? Nobody, first of all, nobody asked you anything. You shouldn't be asking about eggs or anything else. Eggs cheating when your ass is a known cheater. So the best thing for you to have done in that situation was to just sit back and look back and forth at the two of them having a conversation, or take your wide ass hips somewhere and sit down somewhere. Go get you a drink at the bar and get out their business. That would have been a great thing for you to do at that moment. Okay? Like, shut your ass up, sir. And go pay them liens and them taxes off. That's something you could have been focusing on. Go pay them tax liens off. And all them lawsuits that your ass is facing. So then Tiffany goes on to say, how does it feel with the rumor or expectation or narrative above his head? How does he feel? How does that feel to you? Okay, meaning about Sheree. So then Marceau says that, why do you need that information? All right. So then Tiffany says that, I'm literally asking for me. Says that, I wondered if she and Mel had a relationship at this point. Okay. So then Martell kind of looks confused and frowns up like what? Like, why is she asking that? So then Tiffany says that she asked Sheree if she and Mel were in community with each other. And I think she meant communication. So then Martell interrupts and says, Mel and I aren't in community with one another, you know. Says that Mel and I got a lot to get together before I introduce anybody to her, you know. So then Marceau says that you're such a good friend, Tiffany. Says he was trying to be sarcastic. Said, you're such a good friend, Tiffany. Says that you can't bring Mel and Sheree together out of the genuineness of your heart. Okay. Says that, do you really think like this, Tiffany? That's what Marceau was asking Tiffany. And the whole time she's sitting there looking like this. So then Martell says that, and I don't give a fuck how it comes out. So at this point, he's mad. He's cussing. So then Tiffany, she kind of sips her drink like, so then moving on, then Marceau says that, I can't believe that a human being actually thinks that way. Talking about Tiffany. So then Tiffany goes into her confessional and she says that, why is it even his business? Talking about Marceau. Says that that his tons of opinions, and why is it that he's butting in this conversation? Why do he have tons of opinions, and why is he actually butting into this conversation? It has nothing to do with him. All right. So then Tiffany says that y'all have been dating for 8 months and y'all have had sex, correct? I'm just like, Tiffany, stop, girl, just stop. So then Marceau interrupts and says that you have sex with someone that you were with for 8 months, right? Okay. So then Martell says that were you talking for 8 months with Lewis? Okay. So Tiffany says that, I wasn't talking for 8 months and I don't even know what that's like. So y'all already know that her and Lewis kind of got together and they just kind of jumped the broom kind of fast. Their relationship kind of moved real fast. And I was just like, okay. So then Marceau then said that when you ask about cheating, then you're asking about somebody's sex life. Okay. Still not understanding why he's having anything to do with this, but so then Tiffany says that you and Mel actually have kids together. Says that, I love blended families. That it's a beautiful thing. She says that my kids benefit from a blended family. Says that me and my baby daddy got it right. All right. So then Marceau says that you got it right. So now you an expert. All right. So then Tiffany says, I never said I was an expert. All right. So she snaps back at Marceau. So then in confessional, Marceau says that, I think Tiffany's pregnancy saved her. Says that anyone in Sheree's shoes would have retaliated physically. Says that it definitely is an insult. Okay. So then Martell says that, is it true that you said it is her PUSSY that good to keep me? Okay. So then Marceau looks like you said that, Tiffany. So says that, is it that good that if Melody couldn't do something like that? Okay. Said, was Sheree's stuff good enough to keep Martell because Melody's couldn't do that or something to that nature? So then Marceau, he kind of gasped and said, you said that, Tiffany? Said, you said that, Tiffany? Said, what the fuck is wrong with you? That's what Marceau says to Tiffany. So then Tiffany says, I don't remember that. And I'm just like, girl. So then Martell says, you don't remember? says that's the problem. So then Marceau says, well, what else did she say? So then Martell says that that she thinks that I still have feelings for Mel and that I was chasing her around at Kimmy's event. All right. So then Marceau says that you're a hater. That's it. You're a hater. Said that you might need to be tested, Tiffany, to see if you're a Karen. Okay. Trying to call her a Karen. So then Tiffany says, why? Because I'm half white. So then Martell and Marceau says, no, because of your actions. Okay. So then Marceau says that there are plenty of white people that aren't Karens. Okay. So then Martell says that you don't know Sheree and how our relationship is for you to be sharing any of our information. Okay. It says, and then Tiffany says, what I gathered from your new boo is that she's strong and that she holds her own and etc. So then Marceau says that always learn that she's quick to slap a motherfucker too. All right. So then Tiffany says, yeah, okay, sure. Like the bitch ain't gonna slap me. Like who she gonna slap? So then Martell says that of course he's upset. He's gathering his books to get ready to leave because at this point he mad as hell. Just talking about this situation again. He says, and I'm about to go, man. I'm about to go. That's what he's telling he's telling Marceau he's about to go. He's getting up, he's grabbing his books, and he's getting ready to go. So then Marceau says to Martell, he says, yeah, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. So then Martell says that I'll call Big Lou. I'm gonna call Big Lou and have a conversation with him. So then Tiffany says, so you're gonna call Big Lou to fix his wife? You know, like I ain't scared of him. That's my husband. Like what he's supposed to do? Beat my ass because you call him to tell him on me, which I feel like that's what should have happened from the start. You should not have been confronting her about that. Tiffany is a married woman. If you have an issue with her and the situation, maybe sit down with her and Lewis and have a conversation with Lewis present. Now it kind of looks like you teaming up on a woman, which we know Martell and Marceau live to be arguing with women in the first damn place. They were right at home to sit there and confront Tiffany and curse at her and be disrespectful. They are always fighting and are going back and forth with women. They felt comfortable doing it. So now that you've done this, now at the end of you confronting her, now you want to have a sit down with Lewis when that's something you should have done from the start. Period. No man should be sitting there confronting no woman like that when she has a man. I'm just saying, you should not have done that. Granted, Tiffany was wrong for the questions that she asked, but she had a conversation with another woman. Okay. And the fact that Sheree went back and told Martell felt like it was his place to go back and confront her. And that's not. You should have called Lewis then and said, hey, man, look, I feel like your wife is out of line for something that she said to Sheree, and I want to have a sit down talk with you. Maybe Tiffany can be present as well. But I feel like I need to have a conversation with you about that because I feel uncomfortable with the questions that Tiffany said to Sheree. That's how that should have been handled. But the fact that you went off on this girl and you and Marceau sat over there cussing at her, now she's feeling disrespectful or disrespected. Now she's gonna run and tell her husband that y'all done ganged up on her, which now he gonna be ready to get up in y'all ass for coming at his wife because that's disrespectful. You should not have come for her like that. You flip-flopped it. You should have went to him first. So then Martell says, no, I'm not gonna tell him to fix anything. I'm just gonna share what took place, says it's very inappropriate, So yeah, I'm gonna have a conversation with him. So he gets up and leaves while Tiffany sits there with the stank face looking at him like, yeah, all right, whatever, bye. Like, I don't give a hot damn if you call Lewis. That's my husband. Okay. So then Marceau, he kind of looks puzzled as Martell walks away. And then that's the end of the episode, you guys. Okay. It wasn't a very long episode. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, this episode. All right. The highlight of the whole episode really was the end when the three of them were kind of going back and forth about this conversation between Sheree. All right, so let's get into what's going to happen next because y'all know I like to do that. All right, so next episode, all right, which will be episode 9, I think. Yeah, this will be episode 9. So Kimmy and Maurice, they're going to be riding in the car. Kimmy is saying that she's glad that her radiation is getting ready to get started. So she's getting ready to start doing her radiation for her cancer treatments. Okay. So Kimmy says to her, then Kimmy also, they show a clip where Kimmy says to her friend that she needs Maurice to understand that she doesn't feel all that pretty while going through her treatments. Okay. So she's going through that phase to where she's kind of second guessing herself in terms of how she looks while she's going through her cancer treatment. Y'all already know she had to cut her hair off. And I didn't realize Kimmy had that much hair under there. So the next scene that they show is Marceau telling Tisha about the conversation between Martell and Tiffany. Says that, why didn't you tell me about Tiffany? Okay. It says that she might not have it all, trying to say that Tiffany is crazy. So Marceau is telling Tisha, why didn't you tell me about Tiffany? I don't think she got it all up there. Okay. So he's going to go into, like I said, telling Tisha about the conversation between Martell and Tiffany in terms of the conversation with Sheree. All right, so then moving on. So Tiffany tells Lewis about the meeting with Marceau and Martell, and how they came at her with everything that they had about Sheree. Lewis is visibly upset. He says pretty much that since he wanted, then he gonna feel it straight up, talking about Martell and also about Marceau, because they came at Tiffany versus coming at him. He was upset that they came at Tiffany. All right, so then they show the baby shower event, Tiffany's baby shower event, where Martell and Marceau actually kind of come in late. And of course, they see Lewis, and they actually speak to Lewis. Melody kind of looks up when Martell walks in. She kind of gives like a dry look, like, oh God, this motherfucker, what's he doing here? All right, so they kind of go up to Lewis to tell him about what Tiffany did and or said, but Lewis is really checking them for coming at his wife versus speaking to him as a man. So this is going to be the episode where they're going to be going back and forth and arguing, and Lewis is going to be getting all up in Martell's face, and to the point to where he's going to put his hand on him while he's talking, and Martell is going to move his hand off of him, and it looks like it's going to almost get physical. So Lewis says to Marceau, says, the next time something happens, I'm going to go to your wife. Now, how about that? Okay. And then, of course, Marceau responds by saying, no, you're not going to come to my wife. You don't speak to my wife. So then Lewis asked Martell, were you right to come to my wife versus me? And Martell responds by saying, yeah, I was right. Okay. So then Lewis, of course, snaps on Martell. And then Maurice is standing outside while they're actually talking. And he jumps in the middle, giving his 2 cents, which I don't even know why he was out there, because he wasn't even present when the conversation originally took place. All right. So then Lewis is talking to Martell, like I said, whenever he touches him on the shoulder as he's talking, and Martell takes his hand like this and moves it off him, which then sparks Lewis to kind of lunge at him, to where Marceau holds Lewis back. Okay. And then Maurice is kind of jumping in the middle to kind of hold them back like this. All right. So the altercation will happen on the next episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. I don't know why Maurice was there. Like I said, he wasn't privy to what was being said, but anytime y'all know that anytime that there's any type of altercation with Marceau, you know, he's going to jump in just like he did at the Madonna situation. He didn't have a dog in that fight between Maurice and Martell, but he chose to jump in it anyway. So that's what's going to happen on the next episode of Love and Marriage Huntsville. Okay. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the review for this episode. Sorry that it was such a short episode, but that's all that happened. Okay. So thank you guys for joining. We will have Car Chronicles tomorrow, and you do not want to miss it, because guys, when I tell y'all, I've been putting together so much tea. I got so much receipts that I got to show tomorrow about just, oh God, people been doing the absolute most in these streets, and who better to have the receipts to actually talk about this stuff than me? So I'm gonna be revealing a whole bunch of stuff. Melody said that this is the month of Revelation, baby, and tomorrow's Car Chronicles will definitely be Revelation. All right. So if you miss it tomorrow, you just have to do the replay. But yes, tomorrow's Car Chronicles will be good. All right. Thank you guys for joining us. Okay. I really appreciate it. Please hit that like. We got 605 in the building tonight, and 421 likes. Thank y'all for being here. Okay. Love you guys all the way that way. Thank you, Mars, for doing such a great job keeping the trolling down. Thank you, Care Melanies, for joining us here tonight. All right. And any Mars that joined us as well. All right. Thank you for any super chats. Thank you for any cash apps that you guys gave tonight as well. Okay. Please go ahead and leave comments if you guys so choose to do so. I do read the comments and I try to respond to as many as I can. All right. So let's have a great night. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll be sitting right here in this chair. Tomorrow is Memorial Day, so I know a lot of you guys will probably be grilling or whatever. So yes, come on back tomorrow morning and let's go ahead and do this Car Chronicles and knock it out. All right. Love you guys all the way that way, and goodbye.